stated because that's just the way I am. My name is Commander Robert Lane. I'm commanding officer at USS Greenville. I've been in the Navy now, as the kind of Admiral mentioned. I am a Mustang. I've been in the Navy now for 31 years. I enlisted in the Navy in 1992, and that's when I arrived to boot camp down in Orlando, Florida. One of the cool things I found out after I got assigned to the USS Greenville was that the very day that the keel was being laid for Greenville, it was declared in April of 1992. It just so happened that was to the day, that was the exact day that I arrived in boot camp in April of 1992. So we both started our journey in the Navy on the exact same day. And to me, that was pretty fortuitous that we started our careers together, and I was able to come to command this great warship of ours. So the USS Greenville, it's a fast attack submarine. It's one of the 4 different classes that we have. We have the Seawolf class, which is kind of a little bit older class, multi-mission capable, just like the 688 class is. So we have that. We have the Virginia class, which is kind of our new and up and coming class that is being built now. And those are, again, multi-mission platform and able to do kind of the wave of the future for our submarines. As the 688 class kind of starts to get the end of their life, the Virginias are going to be the ones that kind of project us further. And then you have our 4th class, which is the Ohio class submarine, which is, that's part of our nuclear deterrent triad that we have between the land-based missiles, the aircraft, and the submarines. When you think about it, our Trident submarines are really the only, we call them the survivable asset as part of that nuclear triad. Because everyone knows where can find our planes or where we can find our land-based missiles. They have no idea where our submarines are at. So that's a big part of what we get to do as part of the triad. So USS Greenville, it's 365 feet long. We carry about 164 sailors on board when we go on deployment. We consider ourselves apex predators. That's what Admiral Caudle calls us. So we are very multi-mission. We can do strike. We have what's called strike capability. So we have Tomahawk cruise missiles. We do a lot of reconnaissance missions, which is really a big part of what we do during peacetime, right? See what other countries are doing, surveil, look for other country submarines, other country surface ships, and really kind of understand how their Navy operates. So in case we do ever have to go to battle, then I have the right information and intelligence on these ships that if I have to go engage with them, I know how to do it. And that's the other part of our mission is the anti-submarine warfare and anti-surface warfare capabilities that I use with my torpedoes. Very accurate, very interesting piece of machinery that has its that are very capable. So that's kind of the big things that USS Greenville brings to the fight. Throughout my Navy career, I've been, as Admiral mentioned, I was a nuclear electrician. I keep saying nuke. I was a nuclear electrician. My first boat was the USS, ship was the USS Carl Vinson. So a big old aircraft carrier. I did about 3 years on her. And then about mid-1960, 1996, it was, my initial contract was getting close, and I was like, hey, I really thought that it would be something that I could, I had advanced very rapidly through qualifications and advancement. I got selected for the enlisted commissioning program. The economy wasn't too good in the 98 timeframe whenever I thought I was gonna maybe get out. So I applied for a commissioning program, got picked up, went to the University of Houston, and then I've been stationed on the USS Jefferson City, which is a fast attack submarine. It was out of San Diego, California at the time. And then I transferred to shore duty, went back as the engineer on the USS Maryland, which is a Trident submarine, big missile boat. On her, I actually ended up doing a test firing of, about the time I was on board, I actually shot up to 8 Trident missiles off of her for test firings. Very big missile, and that submarine, it's amazing. You change the weight of a submarine by probably about 20,000 pounds, and the boat doesn't move in the water. It's pretty amazing. what it can do. And then, as he said, I did my executive officer tour on the La Jolla, which is now a war training ship. So we took this fast attack submarine, took off the front end capability of it, basically turned it into classrooms, and then put it down in Charleston, South Carolina for a training platform for all the nuclear operators. So the nuclear pipeline is about a year and change long. They go through about 6 months of power school, so they learn all about nuclear power. Then they put them on an actual operating nuclear power plant that's shore-based, that represents the majority of the nuclear power plants that we have in the Navy, so that they can learn on and feel and touch an actual nuclear power plant before they actually go out to the fleet. So that's what La Jolla has been turned into now. And then I came to Greenville in September of 2020. So I've been, it has definitely been an interesting journey so far on the Greenville. I think I have one of the more interesting ways to get to command. So this was all during COVID, so it was in 2020, so COVID was at its height. I took the, they had to get me out on the boat while she was still out on deployment. So for a commanding officer turnover, it takes us, we're required to take 30 days to turn over. It's like mandated by I think it's Title 10. So we have to turn over, it has to take us 30 days. So what they did, in order to get me out of deployment, we actually flew from Hawaii back to the States, flew from Philly over to England to Bahrain, and then we sat in Bahrain for 3 weeks, because that was their quarantine. So we had 8 of us on the 11th floor of this, it wasn't Holiday Inn, I can't remember the name of the hotel chain. It was over in Bahrain. We had to sit, we could only stay in our rooms, we're not allowed to leave. We had got the entire 11th floor of the hotel was us only. And the only way we got our food was food deliveries. They drop it at the door, knock on the door, those kind of things. So we spent 3 weeks in a hotel room in Bahrain. And then they go, okay, so here's the next thing we're gonna do. So you have established yourself as a clean bubble. It's like, okay, great. What does that mean? So they were like, all right, so we're gonna fly you from Bahrain to an aircraft carrier out in the Persian Gulf. We're like, okay, this sounds cool. So we get on this carrier onboard detachment aircraft, a COD, as they call it. We flew on the COD from Bahrain out to the USS Nimitz. Get on board the Nimitz and say, hey, you can't interact with any of the crew members because they're in their own clean bubble because they're on deployment. We're in our own clean bubble, but you can't mix the bubbles together. So we had to get off the airplane so they could fuel it, get back on it, and then here comes this helicopter pilot. Hey guys, you guys ready for your next flight? We're like, where are we going? So the next thing we know, we're on these SH-60s, flying off the aircraft carrier over to a destroyer called the USS Stout. It was about a 4-hour helo ride. And for submarine guys, you know, most of these guys were kind of shaky about it. Since I've been in the Navy, I took the advantage and some of my shore duties is to learn how to skydive. So I jump out of planes for fun. So we got on this helicopter and we started doing all these kind of banks and turns. I was having a great time. Some of the other guys, not so much. So we landed on the USS Stout, and then we took the Stout, and they were like, hey, Greenville is about 4 hours away. So we blasted on the Stout to go find the Greenville. And then we took a small rib off the side of the Stout and drove us up to Greenville. And that's how I got on board. So I definitely had a round-the-world experience to get out to the Greenville, because when we came back into Hawaii. So I literally went around the entire world to get to command. So it was definitely an interesting experience. I think one for the books for going to command. It was really, really cool. I really enjoyed the heck out of being a commanding officer. You know, it's kind of for us, it's kind of the pinnacle of our career. To lead this mighty warship. And it's really more about, you know, as I said, I've been doing this for 31 years. I'm not ready to quit yet. I get relieved here in June, and I go to the Pentagon to do a staff job at the Pentagon. Kind of looking forward to it, kind of not. I did a Pentagon tour before, and go into a building where I can't drive to work because I have to ride the bus or take the train to work. Office building is 25,000 people. So I'm not quite looking forward to that, but you know, it's one of the things I can do, and the staff job that I have will have it's an operations job over the entire Navy. So I'll have a more global impact of things that I do. But I really enjoy the people aspect of it. You know, that's really where Cobb comes in. You know, the things that we get to do for the sailors, making sure that they are ready for their advancement and get the opportunities that they had throughout their Navy career. You know, I had the opportunity, I had the drive. I had made Chief Petty Officer in 7.5 years, and then I got the enlisted commissioning program. So I've been through all the ranks literally, from E3 now up to 06. Well, I'll make 06 in September. It has definitely been an awesome career. Been on every coast you can think of, and literally has been traveled all over the world. I've done some very cool and interesting exercises. I've done, launched ballistic missiles. I've launched Tomahawks. I've actually, one of the more cooler things I've been able as part of, it's called a SYNC-X, where I was on a submarine. They towed the ex-USS Ford out in the middle of the ocean. The Navy and the Air Force got to take their pilots, drop a lot of bombs and shoot rounds into this thing. And when we came up on it, it was like, was sitting there smoking. They were like, really? That's all you guys did? You guys had 6 hours to go play with this thing, and you guys didn't do much to it. We came up, took about 5 minutes to get a shooting solution on it, launched an ADCAP torpedo into her, and she was on the bottom within about 10 minutes. One shot. So, you know, that was really one of the cool things, one of the cooler things that I've done, being able to actually shoot as a test. So not an anchor, an actual ship. So it's actually been a great career, and I think with that I'll open up to if you have any questions that you have for me or Cobb as we kind of are here for you.